Cedric is 5 years younger than me. In the 3rd year of our marriage. He couldn't resist the temptation. He kept a 19-year-old female college student outside. Backstage at the music festival, the young girl stood on tiptoe, asking for a kiss, and said cup half a sly with a hint of mockery, "Is that old woman really boring? She's already so old. Does she even know what rock and roll is?" Cedric had just finished performing and was sweating all over. He gripped the girl's waist tightly and gently rebuked, "Don't talk about her like that." After saying that, he kissed her fiercely. I stood in the corner of the backstage and witnessed this scene. Behind me, a top young singer rubbed against my neck, his hot breath spraying on me. "Sister. He's tainted. I'm more famous and richer than him. Can you like me instead?" A strange girl added me on WeChat. She called me very impolitely, "Old auntie." "Take a look at this." She sent me a video. On the video, it was my husband Cedric's figure. He had just taken a shower and walked out of the hotel bathroom, wearing only a bath towel around his waist. The camera flashed by quickly. It must have been taken secretly when he wasn't paying attention. But the black letter tattoo on his waist and abdomen, I was all too familiar with it. XQ. It's the abbreviation of Cedric's and my names. Back then, he proposed to me more than a dozen times. But I didn't agree. He was almost driven to tears by me. He went to get a tattoo and showed it to me pitifully, saying, "How about I tattoo your name all over my body?" But no. He was showing such an intimate part of his body to another girl. I called Cedric. It rang more than a dozen times before he finally answered. "Wife. I rehearsed with the guys until very late today. So I won't come back." His voice was a bit hoarse, and his breath was unsteady. It sounded very ambiguous. I didn't expose him and said inferently, "You used to be most afraid of leaving me alone at home." Cedric paused for a moment, softened his tone, and coaxed me, "My wife is the best. She will definitely wait for me at home obediently." "Wife. I have to hang up now. My bandmates are calling me." He hung up the phone in a hurry. I couldn't help but sneer. In the past, when he went to perform in other places, he wished he could carry me in his pocket. He was so afraid that I would be accosted by other men when he wasn't around. Every time he came back, he would hug me tightly and kiss me hard for more than 10 minutes. Proclaiming his sovereignty in a childish and domineering way. "My wife can only be mine." Since when did he stop being so possessive of me? I scrolled through that girl's WeChat moments. Since 3 months ago, she had been posting some ambiguous photos one after another. Finally held brother's hand. So happy. The picture attached showed hands intertwined. The watch on the man's wrist looked very familiar. When Cedric and I went on our honeymoon in Switzerland, he took a fancy to a Rolex watch. It cost hundreds of thousands of yuan. At that time, his band wasn't very well known, and they could only earn a few hundred yuan for one performance. I bought it for him as a gift. Today is another energetic day. Here I come. Brother. The girl would occasionally post some motivational quotes. The attached pictures were usually taken at the music festival venue or backstage during rehearsals. I calculated the time, and it just so happened that they were all during Cedric's schedule. Her last WeChat moment was half an hour ago tonight. So excited. Brother is taking a shower. The attached picture was of the bathroom. Through the frosted glass door, the man's figure was hazy but vaguely visible. I enlarged the photo and looked at it expressionlessly for a while. Then I saved it. Cedric was participating in a music festival in King County. I originally didn't plan to go because there was a meeting in my company. When I woke up the next day, I received a WeChat message, "Sister. Aren't you really coming to watch my performance?" It wasn't from Cedric. It was from Aiden, the little brother, who had lived in my house for 2 years. In recent years, he had become popular very quickly. Every original song of his became a huge hit, and he was already a top-tier celebrity. "Sister. The song I'm going to sing today was specially written for you. If you don't come, I'll make it public." Aiden sent a meme of a humble puppy, begging online. I replied to him, "I'll be there tonight." To catch the adulterer in the act, I had to see it with my own eyes. At the Lawn Music Festival, There was a sea of people. The air seemed to be filled with the restlessness of youthful hormones. I went directly backstage. I was familiar with the organizers. And I had no trouble getting through. Cedric had his own dressing room. And his name was pasted on the door. Brother. Is that old woman really boring? She's already so old. Does she even know what rock and roll is? Does she understand you as well as I do? The voice came from inside. The door wasn't closed tightly. And through the crack in the door, I saw the young girl standing on tiptoe, asking Cedric for a kiss. She spoke in a coquettish and defiant tone. Her skin must be sagging already. Right? She doesn't deserve you at all. Brother. Cedric gripped the girl's slender waist and gently rebuked. Don't talk about her like that. The girl pouted her lips. Then kiss me. And I'll stop talking. You're really not being good. Cedric said it in a low voice as if scolding. But he bent down and kissed her fiercely. They kissed passionately. Their saliva intertwined. Sister. He's tainted. Behind me. A deep voice came close to my ear. I turned around and saw Aiden's young and handsome face. He bent down, put his chin on my shoulder. And his hot breath sprayed on my neck. Sister. I'm more famous and richer than him. Can you like me? Aiden pulled me into his nanny van. The curtain was drawn tightly. In the darkness, he clung to me and said, Sister. Don't be sad. He's not worth it. I pushed against his firm chest. But I couldn't move him. Let go. I'm not interested in sibling romance anymore. I said coldly. Sister. You're being so unfair to me. Aiden hugged me tightly from behind. His voice tinged with suppressed anger. Cedric is a scumbag. But you can't judge everyone the same way. I struggled to turn around in his arms. In the dim light, I looked into his eyes calmly and said, Look closely. I'm 30 years old this year. And there are fine lines at the corners of my eyes. Compared to the liveliness of young girls, I seem very boring. Even if you like me now, in a couple of years, you'll still fall in love with young and fresh bodies. Aiden didn't hesitate. I won't. I don't like shallow and ignorant souls at all. He raised his hand to cup the back of my head, and his burning lips approached mine. Sister. All these years, I've only loved you. The intense atmosphere of his affection made it hard not to have a racing heart. I bit my lower lip lightly, and put my hand against his lips. Stop messing around. Just then, let out a low sigh. My phone rang. It was Cedric. Wife. I heard from the staff that you came to the music festival? Cedric's tone was a bit tentative. I hummed in response. Aiden held my waist tightly, deliberately exerting a bit more force. I couldn't help but let out a muffled groan. Cedric asked sensitively. Wife. Where are you? Who are you with? I retorted. What about you? Who are you with now? Cedric paused for a moment. And laughed nonchalantly. I'm with my bandmates. Wife. Where are you? I'll come and pick you up. No need. I hung up the phone and pushed Aiden away. I drove home alone. Cedric came back very quickly this time. Wife. Just like in the past. He couldn't wait to call me as he changed his shoes in the entrance hall. I miss you so much. Come and give your husband a hug. I walked over slowly and stopped a few steps away from him. Wife. You went to the music festival. Why didn't you come backstage to find me? Cedric complained and became jealous. Did you meet Aiden? I nodded. I did meet him. I saw everything I shouldn't have seen. And I recorded it with my phone. You just chatted with him and ignored me? Cedric dropped his suitcase, rushed over to hug me, and said angrily, You know very well that every time he looks at you, his eyes are full of improper thoughts. I took a step back and avoided his embrace. Cedric was taken aback. He opened his mouth to question me. But at that moment, his phone in his pocket vibrated. You have an incoming call. I reminded him. Cedric hesitated for a moment, but still took out his phone and explained to me. It must be because I skipped the post-performance drinking party. And those guys are unhappy. He glanced at the phone screen. Hung up the call. Then he replied to the message. I watched as his fingers typed quickly. It was as if something bad would happen if he didn't appease the other person quickly. I took out my phone and opened that girl's WeChat moments. Sure enough, She had posted a new update, the knife after the sweetness stabbed my heart, leaving it in a mess. It hurts so much. Brother. Can you come and see me one last time? The attached picture was of her standing on the rooftop. Her white dress fluttered in the wind. And she seemed on the verge of falling. It looked like she was going to commit suicide. I looked up at Cedric. His face was tense. And his anxiety couldn't be hidden. When he looked up and met my eyes, he froze for a moment. But soon, he regained his relaxed and natural tone. Those guys are scolding me severely in the group, calling me a wife's slave. Wife. I'm going out for a while. I'll come back after having a few drinks with them. Without waiting for my answer, he opened the door and left in a hurry. Cedric was probably in a panic, driving at a very high speed and not noticing at all that my car was following behind his. He arrived at an unfinished building, rushed up to the rooftop, and hugged the girl in the white dress. Woo-woo, brother. You're here. The girl cried pitifully, I thought you didn't want me anymore. Cedric hugged her and comforted her. Silly girl. How could I not want you? Be a good girl and don't do anything stupid again. I stood on the stairs, using my phone to record this scene. Then I sent all the evidence to my lawyer. That night, Cedric didn't come back until just before dawn. He carefully lifted the quilt, got into bed, and hugged me from behind. Wife. He kissed the back of my ear and murmured, I love you. There was a lingering scent of perfume on him, with a hint of sea salt and milk fragrance. It was a scent I never used. Cedric. Let's get a divorce. I pushed him away, got up, and turned on the light in the bedroom. The light shone on Cedric's young and handsome face, showing astonishment and panic. Wife. What did you say? Did you have a nightmare? After his shock, he quickly came to his senses and coaxed me gently. Husband is here. Don't be afraid. I looked at him coldly. I said, let's get a divorce. Cedric's face turned pale in an instant. Cedric refused to get a divorce. He thought I was just losing my temper for a moment. Until the lawyer delivered the divorce agreement to our home. Sign this. We'll go to the Civil Affairs Bureau when I'm back from my business trip. I was in a hurry to go to work in another city, so I left coldly after dropping this sentence. It's not true that I didn't feel sad about our 3-year marriage. We had also been passionately in love before. At the height of our relationship, he pestered me and wouldn't let me get out of bed, grinding and begging me, let's have a baby. Okay? I want to tie you to me for the rest of my life. His possessiveness was overbearing and intense, which once made me think that this was unique love. But perhaps it was just the haunt of a man's selfish genes. I flew to Jing City and checked into a hotel. Unexpectedly, it was such a coincidence that Aiden was staying in the next room. Sister, I heard that you're getting a divorce. Aiden knocked on my door, walked straight in, and his dark eyes were faintly shining. So what? I glanced at him inferiorly. Then I don't need to care about morality anymore. Aiden took a step closer to me, suddenly grabbed my waist, and kissed me unexpectedly. His kiss was passionate and burning hot, like an outburst after a long period of suppression. I was so startled by the heat that my whole body trembled. Let go. I bit his lip and tasted a trace of blood, but Aiden didn't show any sign of letting go. Instead, he became even more excited and explored deeper. He cornered me, and his tall and slender body trapped me firmly. I was so angry that I raised my hand and slapped him. Aiden was slightly stunned. Then he laughed. He pushed his cheek with his tongue and said in a hoarse voice, Sister. I've wanted to kiss you like this for a long time. I'm willing to be beaten to death by you. The doorbell of the room suddenly rang. It was Cedric's voice outside. Wife. I was wrong. Please open the door. Okay? I frowned. Aiden raised one arm, trapped me against the corner, and whispered, Don't pay attention to him. He doesn't deserve it. I pushed him away. Go and stay in the bathroom. Aiden's eyes darkened, and he coldly curled the corner of his lip. Fine. I want to see what he dares to do to you. He turned and went into the bathroom. I went to open the door, and Cedric squeezed in eagerly, explaining in a rush, Wife. Did you misunderstand something? Did you see me getting close to another girl when you went to the music festival last time? Actually, That girl is the sister of our band's drummer. There's nothing between me and her. I suddenly felt extremely bored. He was still lying to me even now. Cedric. I interrupted him. Do you remember what I said before we got married? Cedric froze for a moment. And his voice dropped. I remember. At that time, I said that we could get married. But I would never forgive a man who was unfaithful. I stared into Cedric's eyes. He opened his mouth to argue. But in the end, he just stubbornly said, I won't get a divorce. No matter what. I won't get a divorce. Suddenly, heading facilely. The bathroom door slammed open with a bang. Aiden came out of it. Cedric was completely stunned. He pointed at Aiden in surprise and questioned me. Why is he in your room? Before I could answer, Aiden had already stepped forward and punched Cedric in the face. Damn scumbag. Aiden was filled with anger and hit hard. You bastard. You hurt sister and still have the nerve to pester her. Aiden and Cedric started fighting. The corners of both their mouths were injured and bleeding. I was too lazy to watch. So I turned around and went out, leaving the room to the two of them. When I walked to the coffee bar in the hotel lobby, I suddenly saw that girl in the white dress. As soon as she saw me, she ran over and blurted out, I'm pregnant. I couldn't help but be stunned. The girl raised her eyebrows triumphantly. I haven't told Cedric yet. When he finds out, he will definitely divorce you. Old auntie. If you can't have a baby, don't occupy the position of Mrs. Cedric. It was like a sharp thorn piercing into my heart, making me feel pain and anger. I grabbed her hand, come with me. The girl let out a scream in fear. What are you doing? I'm a pregnant woman. How dare you mess around? I turned a deaf ear and dragged her towards the elevator. When we got upstairs, I pushed her into the room. Go. Tell your Cedric that you're pregnant. In the room, the two men with bruises on their faces were both shocked. Aiden's first reaction was to come to my side. In a protective posture, he asked in a low voice, Sister. What's going on? I didn't answer. I pushed the girl towards Cedric. You were so good at talking downstairs just now. Weren't you? Now say it to his face. You're pregnant. Right? Is the baby Cedric's? Make him take responsibility for you. The girl changed from her arrogant and triumphant attitude just now and mumbled pitifully, Brother. I didn't want to come up. She forced me to come upstairs. She forced me. I sneered, yes. I forced you. I forced you to fool around together and forced you to get pregnant outside of marriage. Cedric's handsome face turned extremely pale. He looked at me. His lips trembling. Wife. It's not like that. It's not. I stared at him coldly. A look of almost desperate panic flashed in Cedric's eyes. Wife. I'll make her have an abortion. I promise. I'll never let you down again. Don't get a divorce. Let's not get a divorce. Okay? Beside him, the girl shouted loudly, Cedric. Why are you saying this? What are you afraid of her for? You're famous now and don't need to rely on her at all. She's so old and doesn't even want to have a baby for you. How can she be worthy of you? Cedric's face changed instantly. He urgently explained to me, Wife. I never said such things. I only need you. I don't want a baby. When I married Cedric, I told him that I didn't want to have children. He agreed immediately, that's great. We'll always have a two-person world. I only need you. Now that I'm 30 years old, I've actually occasionally thought about whether it's time to have a child. And now, I'm just glad that I didn't act on impulse. After coming back from the business trip, I asked the servant to sort out all of Cedric's belongings. Take your clothes away. Leave all the valuable items I bought for you. You'll leave the house with nothing. I pointed at the clauses in the divorce agreement and read them out one by one. Cedric looked haggard. In a hoarse voice, he pleaded in a low tone, Wife. I don't want any property. The money I've earned in the past few years is all for you. Don't divorce me. I just beg you not to drive me away. I ignored him and continued, Our company's sponsorship of your band will stop as of today. After we officially get the divorce certificate, you'll post a message on Weibo about our divorce. Cedric's eyes were red. Wife. I'll listen to whatever you say in the future. Please don't treat me like this. Okay? I've already taken her to the hospital for an examination. She's not pregnant. It was a lie. Please forgive me this one time. Just this once. I swear. I paused. I shifted my gaze from the divorce agreement and looked up at him. So what? Is it also a lie that you hugged her, kissed her, and slept with her? Why should I forgive him? Why should I pick up a man from the trash? Once he's dirty, he's dirty. The divorce cooling off period is 1 month. Cedric refused to move out. He pushed all his work aside and cooked for me at home every day. But when I came back from work, it was just to change my clothes. Wife. Are you going out again tonight? Cedric's tone was cautious. I changed into a backless little dress and put on high heels at the entrance. I said coldly, you can change the way you call me. Wife is no longer appropriate. But Cedric still insisted, wife. Who are you having dinner with tonight? I made your favorite sweet, and our spare ribs and eggplants with minced meat. Do you want to stay home for dinner? I picked up my bag, looked up at him, and said, don't worry. I'm not like you. I won't cheat on you before we get the divorce certificate. Cedric's face immediately turned a little paler. I ignored him and went out. I was going to attend an awards ceremony tonight. As an investor, I was invited to sit in the front row. On the stage, under the spotlight, Aiden was wearing a black suit, looking noble and handsome, holding the trophy. He bent slightly and said into the microphone, I want to thank a special person. She reached out to help me during the 2 most embarrassing, difficult, and down-and-out years of my life. Without her, there would be no Aiden today. He looked towards the audience. His gaze swept around and finally landed on me. I curved my lips slightly. Aiden was as thin as a refugee during those 2 years. He was beaten up by his gambling-addicted father, and when he came to my house, there was hardly a piece of an injured flesh on his body. And now, he stood under the spotlight, shining brightly. I didn't wait for Aiden to finish his performance and left the venue halfway through. Unexpectedly, having fulfilled my obsession, Cedric came to pick me up. He had been waiting in the parking lot all the time. Wife. You're out. Cedric's eyes lit up when he saw me. I ignored him and walked straight towards my car. Cedric followed closely behind me. I opened the car door and stopped him from getting in. Stay away from me. I'm afraid of getting contaminated. Cedric's steps faltered. And he said in a low voice, I know you're angry. He took a very humble stance. Suddenly, heading to Soblayo, a girl rushed out from the dark corner and shrieked, Cedric already refuses to be with me. Aren't you satisfied? I frowned. The girl's young face was filled with venomous resentment. He's begging you so humbly. What more do you want? You're an old woman. And with Cedric loving you so much, what else are you not satisfied with? I couldn't help but laugh. You keep calling me an old woman, as if you won't live to my age. The girl's face turned red with anger. You. I suddenly called out to Cedric. Are you free tomorrow? Cedric quickly replied, yes. Where do you want to go? I'll accompany you tomorrow. I gave him a cold glance. Go to the hospital tomorrow and have a physical examination. I'm afraid you've been fooling around and caught some dirty disease. Cedric was stunned as if he had been slapped in the face. Tears gradually welled up in his eyes. Wife, I'm not dirty. I'm clean. I ignored him and got into the car, locked the door, and stepped on the accelerator. Cedric went for a physical examination. He came back and showed me the report. His attitude of admitting his mistake got better day by day. Wife. I really know I was wrong. I don't have any diseases. I'm clean. I'll report to you every day and every hour from now on. I will never make mistakes again. After reading the report, I just said, you're lucky. And so am I. Otherwise, it wouldn't be as simple as getting a divorce. Men think that having an affair is just a momentary pleasure, but they never consider whether the women they sleep with might carry viruses. Cedric carefully observed my expression and said softly, wife. Give me one more chance. The last chance. I swear that if I make a mistake again, let me be hit and killed by a car when I go out. I raised my eyes to look at him. He was still as young and handsome as he was 3 years ago. And he was still making such solemn promises. as if he could even give his life to me. But such a man would hug other girls, kiss them passionately, handing fulfilledly, cuddle with them, and have sex with them. I just felt it was extremely ironic. Cedric. I'll say this one last time. I looked at his painful and affectionate eyes calmly. I won't forgive you. After the divorce, there will be no more connection between you and me. To me, you were once very important. But that was because I gave you the right to be important. Now, I take back that right. And you're nothing to me. Cedric was stunned as if struck by lightning. He stared at me blankly. He wanted to say something but didn't know what to say. The 1-month divorce cooling off period passed quickly. Cedric and I came out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, each holding a red divorce certificate in our hands. Wife. Cedric smiled bitterly and changed to call my name, Evelyn. I'll take responsibility for the mistake I made. But I won't give up on you. I'll start pursuing you again from tomorrow. I didn't want to respond at all. By the roadside, an Annie van was parked. The car window rolled down a bit, revealing Aiden's exceptionally handsome face. Sister. Get in the car. Let's have a celebratory meal. I nodded, okay. It's time for a celebration. I didn't look back and got into Aiden's car. The curtain inside the car was drawn down, blocking the view outside completely. Sister. Congratulations on being single. As soon as I sat down, the young and passionate Aura came close to me. I put my hand against Aiden's approaching face and said unceremoniously, if you do this again, I'll sue you for sexual harassment. Aiden sat back in his original position obediently. But he couldn't suppress the upward curve of his lips. Go ahead and sue me. You can sue me for the rest of my life if you want. After the divorce, Cedric came to the downstairs of my company every day. Each time he brought my favorite sunflowers. Entertainment reporters caught wind of it and took videos of him affectionately asking for a reconciliation. It actually made it to the trending topics. Cedric, the lead singer of the B band, is divorced. Cedric is asking his ex-wife for a reconciliation. The reason for Cedric's divorce remains a mystery. Fans started digging into the reason for Cedric's divorce. Some people suspected that he had an affair, and some even posted a photo of him with that girl in a white dress. It was only at this time that I found out that the girl in the white dress was named Aurora. Aurora's private Weibo account was also dug out by netizens, and many people rushed to the comment section to scold her for being a mistress. Aurora suddenly posted a Weibo. It's not certain who the one having an affair is yet. She attached a picture, which was a photo of the hotel room that day. She only cropped the picture of me and Aiden standing together. At that time, Aiden pulled me behind him to protect me. Due to the angle, it looked like I was hugging Aiden from behind. This caused a huge stir. Marketing accounts and internet trolls joined in. The original attack on her or turned into a condemnation of me. Evelyn is so shameless. She had an affair herself and even tried to shift the blame onto our Cedric. Does she think that just because she has money, she can distort the truth? Our Cedric was really blind to have fallen for such an old woman like her. Aurora is innocent. She's just the youngest sister of the drummer of the B band and has a clean relationship with Cedric. Aurora is only 19 years old, an ordinary female college student. How could she possibly outplay a female business tycoon? Aurora is so pitiful. Surprisingly, many netizens believed these remarks. I originally had a private small account and repost some travel photos when I was free. Now countless people flooded in and cursed me frantically. Even some extreme fans came to my company and threw rotten eggs and splashed chicken blood. I called the police. Then I called Aiden. This matter has implicated you. Will it have a big impact? On the other end of the phone, Aiden lazily laughed softly. If it can make you care about me, it doesn't matter if the impact is even bigger. I'm being serious. Don't worry, sister. I haven't been in the entertainment industry for nothing these years. Just wait for me to handle it. I was silent for a moment. I had evidence of Cedric's affair. As long as I released it, the truth would come out. Aiden noticed my silence and asked in a deep voice, Sister, do you still have feelings for Cedric? Are you reluctant to ruin his future? I smiled softly. Then you're underestimating me too much. I just wanted to let the matter ferment a bit more. It would be better to let it blow up so that it could be dealt with more thoroughly. The public opinion on the internet became more and more intense. Since I didn't come out to defend myself, those people became even more aggressive. They dared to pin all kinds of negative rumors on me. They said that relying on my family's wealth, I had always been promiscuous. They said that after I got married to Cedric, I even kept several young men as lovers outside. They said that I liked yacht parties the most and was keen on group activities. In short, they cursed as dirty as they could. In this situation, I don't believe that there's no one behind the scenes causing trouble. She's still young and thought that she could deal with me like this. Attorney Shen, help me collect evidence. I will pursue this matter to the end. I informed the lawyer, I'm going to sue her. And Aiden personally came forward to clarify the matter. He was interviewed backstage during a program. The special person I mentioned at the awards ceremony that day was Evelyn. I once received help from her and her father. They are my benefactors. Without them, I might have been beaten to death. In front of the camera, Aiden addressed Cedric. Sister Evelyn is a person who is loyal to her feelings and marriage. She has a clear conscience towards you. Cedric, if you're still a man, you shouldn't let her be slandered and insulted like this. This interview became a trending topic. I took the opportunity to send a lawyer's letter. I sued her for violating my reputation and being suspected of insult and slander. Cedric came to see me. He looked much more haggard than before. He hadn't shaved his beard, looking down and out and embarrassed. Sorry. His voice was hoarse as he said in a low voice. I didn't know she would do these things on the internet. I curled the corners of my lips. Is saying sorry enough? Cedric raised his eyes to look at me. With red bloodshot eyes. He only met my gaze for a second before lowering his head, and his voice became even lower. Can you not sue her? I let out a cold laugh. She's only 19 years old and still in college. This will ruin her life. Cedric gradually couldn't continue. After he stopped speaking, I said, every adult should be responsible for their own actions. She's 19. Not 9. When she seduced you, she should have known that she was being a mistress. When she hired internet trolls to slander me, she should have known that she was doing something illegal. Cedric was at a loss for words. You're the same. You said you love me. But your so-called love is so insubstantial. Without any sense of responsibility. It's just something you say with your mouth. Cedric, you don't understand what love is at all. You also don't understand what a man's responsibility is. This kind of love makes me sick. After saying that, I closed the door, blocking him outside. I posted the evidence of Cedric's affair on the internet. I didn't spare his feelings. As everyone doesn't have to take responsibility for their mistakes. They will never know what fear is. But this matter ended here. I didn't want to waste my emotions and time on people who had nothing to do with me anymore. I'm only 30 years old. I still have a wonderful life ahead of me. Most importantly, I have my career and the ability to make money. Love is just the icing on the cake, not the help in time of need. No one should expect someone else to save them. I started to get busy. Expanding new projects. Fulfilling work makes people feel happy. At the end of the year, I finally gave myself a vacation and flew to an isle and to spend a warm winter. On the first class of the plane, I met Aiden. He was dressed in a smart casual outfit, wearing sunglasses, with a tall stature and long legs, making him very eye-catching. Sister. He smiled at me, raising his lips. Have I been very good recently and haven't disturbed you while you were focusing on your career? Can you give me a reward? I tilted my head and looked at him. Also smiling, what kind of reward do you want? Tell me about it. Just reward me by letting me accompany you on your vacation. Is that okay? Sunshine, the beach, and a handsome guy. It's indeed a great pleasure in life. Aiden is more reserved than before. It seems that he's afraid that being too passionate will scare me away. He racked his brains to take me to interesting places and taste special delicacies. When recognized by tourists, he generously admitted, I'm pursuing someone I admire. But she doesn't like me yet. The tourists cheered, come on. We're waiting for the day when you succeed in your pursuit. These videos were posted online. Aiden personally reposted one of them and added a caption, in the past, I didn't dare to pursue her. Thinking that I wasn't worthy of her, I watched helplessly as she married someone else. Now, perhaps this is the last chance God has given me. If I don't seize it, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. His fans were excited and commented, "Oh my God. What an infatuated person our Aiden is. Aiden, be brave and pursue her. If you can't catch up, cry on your own." Although I'm a bit sad, I feel more sorry for Aiden. This is like a scene from a Mary Sue drama coming to life. I'm a country bumpkin and I love watching it. I beg for an update on the pursuit process. On the last day of the vacation, Aiden, mysteriously, took me to a cave. "Sister, close your eyes." He took my hand and covered my eyes with a hair tie. I chose to indulge him this time. "You can take it off now." I took off the hair tie and couldn't help but let out an exclamation. In the cave, there was a shining luster. As if there were thousands of fireflies shining brightly. As brilliant as stars. It was extremely beautiful. "Sister, may I kiss you?" Just as I was drunk in the starlight, Aiden suddenly approached me and gently pinched my chin. His burning lips landed on mine. It was as if there were countless affections hidden in it. Both cautious and passionate. Vacations always pass quickly. Back at work, I got busy again. Since the scandal of Cedric's infidelity was exposed, he had to suspend the band's performances and switch to behind-the-scenes work. Aurora was detained and was released after paying the fine. She refused to apologize to me. She was still pestering Cedric, wanting to get back together with him. But Cedric thought she was childish and annoying. By chance, I happened to see them pulling at each other on the street corner. "Don't come to me again." Cedric Stone was extremely impatient as he shouted at Aurora, "You've made me lose my wife and ruined my future. Isn't that enough?" Aurora cried and screamed, "It's Evelyn who hurt you. Why don't you blame her? What's wrong with me? I just love you." Cedric replied coldly, "She's my wife. Even if we're divorced, she was once my wife. I've only loved her. It was just a momentary freshness between me and you. Don't pester me anymore in the future." Aurora broke down and cried, plopping down on the ground. I was at a distance and didn't go over. "See. This is the end of a man and his mistress. A momentary freshness. A momentary thrill. There's no such thing as true love. In the end, they even tear off their masks. Looking ugly and embarrassed, Aiden persistently pursued me. His fans even started a topic, "Has Aiden succeeded in his pursuit today?" No. He hasn't. I was addicted to my work and couldn't extricate myself. Since that unexpected kiss during the island vacation, I hadn't seen Aiden again. He sent me WeChat messages every day. "Sister, do you have time to have dinner together today?" "No. It doesn't matter. I'll ask again tomorrow." "Sister, this is the first show of my tour today. I'm sending it to you to take a look." "Sister, this is the second show of my tour today. The third show." He attached a short video every time. On the stage, he was full of charm. Handsome and alluring. I have to admit that my heart rate got a little out of control when watching the videos. Due to Aiden's perseverance in sending me his short videos every day. In the third year after my divorce, I became a fan of Aiden's stage performances. I would wear a mask and a hat and secretly go to every one of his concerts. I didn't tell Aiden. So, when Aiden suddenly exposed me, I was taken aback. "Sister, if you like watching, how about I dance for you privately?" Aiden came to my office and cornered me in front of my desk. The heat from his body rushed towards me. And my heart beat uncontrollably. "Stay away, and then talk." I pushed him. But he pressed even closer, making my waist bend backward. When I could hardly hold on, he reached out and wrapped his arm around my lower back, lowering his head and almost touching my lips. "Sister, I haven't asked my daily question today. Evelyn, heading so sai. Can you agree to be my girlfriend?" I opened my mouth. And before I could answer, he suddenly kissed me. The love hidden in his kiss swept over my senses like a torrential rain in the hot summer. Perhaps I could give it a try? Fall in love one more time. Extra chapter, from Aiden's perspective. When I was 15 years old, I saw Evelyn for the first time. She was wearing a small floral dress. with a slender waist and dazzlingly white calves. There was a sweet smile on her face. The kind of sweetness that came from being raised in a wealthy and happy family. I envied her very much. I couldn't help but want to get closer to her. She and her father took me in. My father, after nearly maiming me with his beatings, was finally sent to prison. Evelyn's father was very busy, so I saw Evelyn more often. She was very attentive. When she discovered that I had a talent for music, she hired a special vocal teacher for me. She bought me the first guitar in my life. I was taciturn at that time and could hardly say a word in a day. I was even more unable to speak when I was with her. She wasn't angry either. She just smiled and said, "Brother, if you don't like talking, just send me messages. If you need anything, just ask." She was always so understanding. She was so good that I felt ashamed of myself. Later, with her help and encouragement, I embarked on the path of an original singer. I love music. And I love the stage. I love her even more. But I couldn't say it out loud. A person like me, having fulfilled my say, who came from a filthy background, wasn't worthy of her, who shone like the sun. I thought I had to work harder. Maybe one day, I could say to her with pride, "I like you. I love you." I signed with a good talent agency. I devoted myself wholeheartedly to music creation. When I won an award for the first time, I was filled with excitement, and my palms holding the trophy were damp with sweat. I was in a hurry to go back and show it to her. But I didn't expect that when I rushed back in a hurry, I would see her holding hands with a young man. She was smiling happily. She was in a relationship. On the day Evelyn married Cedric, I didn't go. I lied to her, saying that I had to go abroad to shoot an advertisement and couldn't break the contract. In fact, I hid. I got myself dead drunk. My world turned dark and gloomy in an instant, and my light was gone. I was drunk for 3 days. When my manager, Brother Lin, found me, having fulfilled my sigh, he slapped me. "If you really like her, you should be brave enough to pursue her. It's too late now. Aiden, pull yourself together and live a good life to show her. Who knows? Maybe one day she'll get a divorce? You still have a chance." I knew that Brother Lin was just trying to comfort me. But he was right. Maybe there would be such a day? I didn't expect that God really heard my heartfelt wish. That scumbag, Cedric, cheated on her. They got divorced. Evelyn seemed very calm on the surface. She was always like this, facing everything with a smile. But I knew that it hurt her inside. And she could also be wounded. She was just used to dealing with it on her own. I wanted to hug her tightly and tell her that there was someone in this world who loved her very much. But I was also afraid of scaring her away. It didn't matter. Finally, having fulfilled my say, I could pursue her boldly. This time, I wanted the whole world to know. Aiden loves Evelyn. He is partial and stubborn. And he only loves her. The end.